How we doing? How we doing? So how we doing today? How we doing? Today is Tuesday, March the 5th, 2024. I go live on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, and what we do is we talk about real estate notes. We try to break down real estate note investing piece by piece. We try to take questions. If anybody has any questions, just trying to get people more familiar with real estate note investing because of the market that we are in currently and the one that, where we're going or where things are going. We feel that real estate notes and understanding notes, whether you're a buyer, seller, or an investor, is going to be a great way to maximize the selling price, get you into a home if you are a buyer, and also get you maximum cash flow if you are an investor. So that's what we do. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we also try to look at deals and things like that that come on the market. Um, there is more inventory coming on. Last Thursday, we discussed how Fannie Mae is doing another loan sale. I think they completed one, and then there's another one that's getting ready to come up for open bids sometime this month. So they'll probably be making a decision on selling some of their non-performing note inventory. So if this is your first time, seeing this, if you watch the replay, notes are basically an IOU. They spell out the terms of you repaying a loan back for a property that you live in. They'll give you the interest rate, the payment amount, when the payment is due, how many payments that you have to make until the loan is paid back. And that's what a note is. And a note goes along with a security agreement. The security agreement is pledged uh, in case, by the person that's living in the property, in case you can't pay. This gives the bank or the person that owns that note recourse um, to go after the property if you do not adhere to that IOU or making those payments. So that's kind of the long and short of it. If you are an investor in notes, you are buying a payment stream. Um, you're buying, it could be 300 payments, could be 200 payments, 250. Usually there's anywhere from 180 to 360 payments that a note is created. If you're a homeowner, where I am, New Jersey, a lot of times there's a mortgage as the security agreement, and you have 30 years to pay that back. Sometimes in other markets, you'll see, like I said, as low as probably you can go as low as 10 years, depending on the type of loan that it is. But for typical homeowners or people that, are getting a note for a property they're going to live in, you're probably looking at least 180 months to 360 months. So there could be, lots of months left on a loan, and that's why you want to buy it. You want to buy it because, first of all, you're getting at it. You always buy at a discount based on the value of the property, and then two, you're going to be collecting this over, long periods of time. You can also buy shorter term notes as well, things that maybe 3 years, 5 years. Those usually are more like investor type situations or investor loans as opposed to people that are living in a property, like I said before. So um, you when you look at the payments being collected over 180 months or 300 months or whatever the case may be, once you take that monthly payment that's being paid to you based on what you originally paid for those stream of payments, you're going to make 3x times your money, 2 to 3x times your money over time. And so somebody right now may need the cash to go do something else, do another deal, got into some trouble, whatever the case may be. They're looking to sell their note, and typically it is sold at a discount. Um, so that's just a quick review of what notes are. I'm just going to kind of go through some of the differences between, a rental investor or a rental property, and then when you are a note holder. The biggest thing I think you need to think about is that when you are a note owner, you're dealing with amortization. If you own a home or know somebody that owns a home, the loan is typically amortized, and that's why that interest rate and payment and how many payments comes into effect. So, um, a note holder has to think about amortization as opposed to appreciation. A rental investor is thinking about the property appreciating. Obviously, you want to make, a certain amount of money, $250, $1,000, $2,000. You want to make that cash flow, the difference between what you have to pay out as compared to what you're receiving from the tenants. Obviously, you want to make as much money as you can per month, but also you're banking on appreciation. And the only thing with appreciation is that um, appreciation goes up and down. There are ebbs and flows in any type of real estate market. You could be buying at a low time and you can ride the wave, so to speak, for when the price goes up and there's a lot of appreciation. But, you know, appreciation can go away as well when the market takes a dip. And let's say you didn't sell at the top of the market for whatever reason, you weren't able to sell at that particular time, and then now things start to adjust, the prices come down. So appreciation can come and it can go away. Um, Amortization doesn't go away. An amortization schedule is, every time you make a payment, a certain amount goes to principal, a certain amount goes to interest. And on amortization, for the first 7 years, a high portion of your payment, like 95% of the payment goes towards interest. So you're really not paying down the principal, for the first 7 years. And then obviously when you get somewhere between 7 to 10 years, you're starting to pay more of the principal. And then after like year 15, you'll kind of see that shift go back to where you're paying more principal than you are interest. But that number, let's just say $100,000 that you started out with as the loan, you've paid it down for 5 years. Um, let's just even go to 7 years. You still may owe over $90,000 on that. And let me show you that here. Can I share my screen here? I don't think I can share my screen right now, but you just have to take my word for it. I'm putting in $100,000 is the balance. Let's say your interest rate, let's just say now, let's say 7% for 360 payments. So the monthly payment on that, just principal and interest, is $665.30. But I have an amortization schedule here, and what I'm going to go is to 7 years, which is what, 84 months. After 84 months, the person in that property still owes over $91,000. Oh, I hit the wrong button here. I'm on Instagram as well, so you see that 91,000 after 84 months. So you've only paid down nine, just over, just close to $9,000 in principal on that. So, but in another scenario, like I was just mentioning, you may not have gained $9,000 in appreciation. Typically, you would in that instance, in that time frame. 7 years later, properties most likely is going to go up. You are going to gain, but maybe there's a shift in the market in that seventh year, and now you thought the property was going to be worth 125,000, 130,000 after 7 years, and maybe it's only worth 110 now. Obviously you've gotten, $10,000 worth of equity, but with this on the other side of it, you've collected $665 plus the amortization. And on the other side too, as a rental, you would have collected a certain amount of cash flow every month and everything like that. But my point is that um, just where the market is could affect your appreciation. Also, with rental properties, um, expenses. Year one, you may have set amount of expenses that you calculated, whatever they may be. Um, Year two, they might have been, a certain amount as well. But let's say in year three or year four, something happens. You have to fix something. You had a bad tenant. Um, they had to move out. They, didn't make payments when they were supposed to. Taxes went up. Insurance has gone up. Some of the maintenance costs on the building has increased. So now, the cash flow that you have for those first 2 years, now going into year three, is now different. So now when you look at it over a 3 year period, what is my cash flow? And it could change. Like I said, it could be good for the first 2 years. It could possibly go negative in year three. And so, where are you after year 3, 4, 5, and 6 of owning this particular property? But on the opposite side, as a note holder, you don't have those expenses. The only expense that you have as a note holder definitely is a having a third party servicer, somebody that's going to collect your payment from that person living in the property. They're going to make sure that the payment, goes over to you, whatever is your portion. And then if there's an escrow account, they're going to make sure that, money goes into the escrow account to pay, any type of taxes or insurance that need to be paid. So that the only expense that you definitely, like I said, definitely have is the servicing company, and that is less than $50. But on a rental property, you could have taxes, insurance, maintenance, any type of wear and tear that happens on the property that needs to be fixed. All that stuff is your responsibility as the rental owner, and it's great as long as nothing happens. But and then also, let's just say nothing happened over 5 years that you own the property, but now somebody's moving out. What do you have to do? You may have to go into that unit and fix it up, depending on how that person lived. You may go in there and see, I need to paint this thing again. I need to put new flooring in. There was one of the windows, something like that. And then, of course, you've collected, somewhat of a deposit, but, maybe the deposit doesn't cover all of the repairs that need to be made in this particular property. And then, two, what you could get things done for, when you bought the property 5, 6, 7 years later, cost of doing that, cost of labor could have increased as well. So you may wind up coming out of pocket, down the line as well to do any type of repairs. So, another great thing about notes is, like I said, is that you don't have a lot of expenses. You don't, all that stuff goes to the person living in the property. Paying all expenses on the property except for, again, the servicing fee, which is very minimal. And a lot of times you can include that in the payment that this person is going to make to you. You can factor that in. That you can structure it a certain interest rate and everything like that. And if the payment is in their range and they can afford it, that could be covered in that as well. So you really don't have any expenses. But again, with rental properties, you do. So as a note holder, we don't get the value of appreciation. But again, that's why I talk to you about amortization. That doesn't go away. Even if somebody has some issues on the property, and it's up to you to want to forgive the debt that they owe you. A lot of times, you can go after the person for a judgment if they have to foreclose and you want to collect that money. You may not want to do that. You may want to do that. That's just a personal choice. But that debt doesn't go away unless, as being the bank, you want it to go away. That would be your choice. So, very distinct differences. You don't have responsibility for the house. As a note holder, the person living in there has to get insurance, cover any slips and falls, any types of things that happen on the property. God forbid if they burn the house down, um, that you're covered under their insurance as the mortgagee, and there's a certain amount of money that will come to you if and when that happens. So you're covered there. So just a lot of differences that people really need to look at if you have rental properties, especially now. Um, we're going into a time where it looks like they're trying to make more and more people renters. But if you're somebody that, if you're an investor that has a property, has maybe one or two properties in a portfolio, you may want to think about, can I make somebody a homeowner and still get the benefits of cash flow and get the benefits of amortization over time? And I don't have to, do the whole landlord thing, chase after rent, you know, evict people possibly. The only other expense that you could have as a note holder is foreclosure, if you do have to do that. A lot of times, you may not have to do that, because when you have a homeowner, you have a different type of person. This person has most likely put down a significant amount of money on this property. They're looking at building equity. So if they do run into some issues, they're more likely to try to work with their lender, or if they have someone that they can pick up the phone and talk to and talk about the situation and what can be done. You have more of a chance of doing that, as opposed to lengthy foreclosures and having to evict someone and everything like that. Not saying it doesn't happen, because it definitely can happen, but if you write these things correctly, these notes correctly, and you get the right person and the property, a lot of times you can minimize those types of issues, as opposed to rental. You have to go down and do the eviction process, and depending on what state you live in, that can be a pretty lengthy um, process, whether it be foreclosure or um, eviction. So it all depends on that state and those laws. But again, as a note holder, if somebody put down 10, 15, 20% to get into this property, a lot of times they're not going to just let things let things go. They're going to, try to remedy the situation, because they have money involved. They have skin in the game, as opposed to somebody put down, a tax return, a couple $1,000s here or there to rent out a property. It's easy to walk away from maybe $3,000-4,000 than it is, 20 or 25,000. So that's one of the benefits that you get too, as a note, uh, owner or somebody who's created a note on the property. So um, again, just wanted to kind of go through a couple of different things, and tell you the difference between being a note holder and being a rental landlord. Now, I'm not saying being a rental landlord is a bad thing. I mean, if that's what it is that you've done and you're happy doing that and everything like that, all I'm saying is that you may want to consider doing or writing a note on a property to kind of get away from some of these other issues that you can have as a landlord, chasing tenants down and doing repairs and things of that nature. So that's the only thing. I'm just saying you should try to compare. And if anybody watching this, wants to get a free analysis, I can look at the property as a rental and show you, most likely what you can get for the property as a, if you were to become the bank or create a note on the property. And then again, when you do that, um, the note can always be pledged or sold if you need cash, or if you have some type of liquidation, you need to get liquid. Um, you can sell your note, and you don't have to sell the whole thing like you would if you were a rental property owner. You have to sell the whole property to get the cash out of it. You don't have to necessarily do that as a note holder. Oh, well, you can't sell the property if you're the note holder anyway, but you still have the option to be able to pull money out. Just like that example on $100,000, let's just say in 7 years, it's still worth $91,000. And let's just say you needed $25,000, $30,000, to take another deal, or whatever the case may be, whatever the money you needed it for, it was still 23 years left on that mortgage. So you could sell a portion of of that note to someone to get the money out, and then you could sell the whole thing, or you could sell a partial. Maybe you sell the next 150 months for $25,000. Um, well, not 24 months. Maybe you sell the next 125 payments for $25,000. So that means that person that bought it from you is going to take that monthly payment. I think it was like 600 and some dollars. Let's see, $665.30. They're going to collect that over the next 125 payments. So let's see what that would be. 665.30 times 125 payments. So that they would have collected $83,000 over that 125 month period. But they gave you $25,000, and I'm just using $25,000. Maybe they give you a little bit more, whatever the case may be, because it is gonna to give them a certain type of return on their money for what they're paying you for. But they're still gonna collect about just over $83,000 over that 100, and then you get to take over again at payment 126 until the end of the loan. Because if let's see, at 85, what's 360 minus 85? I'll do the real numbers here. 360 minus 85. So you had 275 payments left. So if it was 275 payments, and let's say somebody wanted to get a 10% return. No, let's do 12. So so that note would be worth about $62,000 if you wanted to sell the whole thing. Let's just say you wanted to sell 125. You wanted to sell 125 payments. That would leave 150 at 12%. So that would be worth about $51,000 to give somebody a 12% return. Say you needed that. Say you wanted to get that money to go do something else with. You could do that, and then for every payment after the 150th payment, whatever's left, the next 125 payments, you would then start to receive the $665.30 at that particular time. But you got, 50 or 40,000, $50,000, $51,000. Well, the balance on it is 51,000. So, let's just say you sold, something less of that, something just under that. You could do that, and then you would revert back to collecting $665.30 after that partial was sold. And you can't do that with a rental property. You can't just say, I'm going to sell you, my tenants for the next 5 years. You just collect the rental payments. You can't do that. But as a note holder, you can do that. So, those are just some of the differences between being, on the rental side and being a note owner. Again, if you watch the replay, you want to reach out. My telephone number is 475-8488. Excuse me, 973-475-8488. Or you can shoot me an email at investorgmr@yahoo.com. But really great time. Banks are pulling back on lending. You're going to see more of that. You're starting to see the government-sponsored entities, the people who buy the loans that have been originated, they are starting to sell some of their reperforming inventory and non-performing inventory. So there are going to be, opportunities to buy Right now, we're in an environment where people have a lot of equity in the property. That's another key thing when they have equity in the property. So, um, if you're the note holder and somebody has equity in the property, if they do get into trouble, what are they going to do? They're going to sell the property, and there's still an unpaid balance that's owed to you as a note holder in that situation. And unpaid balance always is more than what you actually paid for the property. So if they do get into some trouble, they could list the property and get it sold. And for whatever reason, if they get into real trouble and they can't sell it, you can always get the property back, and then you can then do something with it once you get the property back. Rent it out, do a lease option, create another note on it. Um, use it for Airbnb. You could do it as a long-term rental. So there's a lot of different options. So really, really great time to understand notes, get involved in notes, especially if you have a retirement account. People with retirement accounts, been working, you know, at a job a number of years, built up a nice little nest egg. You want to look at this opportunity right now, to take advantage of some of the things that are out there and some of the things that are coming to help your retirement account grow faster and more securely, and you can take more control of it. So there's a way to do that as well. So I just hope that I'm making sense, and it piques your interest. And if you want, like I said, you can reach out, and we can talk offline a little bit further about it. All right. So we'll see you back here Thursday. Just talking more about real estate notes. So if you can join me, I'd appreciate it. I post on all my social media. Abundant Capital Group is on Facebook, YouTube. Um, those are the Instagram, Abundant Capital Group. Look for me there. And I post, when we go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. You have a great night, and we'll see you back Thursday, hopefully. Have a good one.